Welcome to another episode of My First Vote. I'm Avni Raja. We're here today at St. Andrew's College in Mumbai, where we're going to talk to the first-time voters here on what are the issues that plague them, what is it that's going to be on their minds when they go out this time to cast their votes, and what is it that they would look for from the new government that will be formed. Thanks all of you very much for joining us today. Let me start with the first question. How many of you want to vote? How many of you plan to vote this time round? All of you, that's great. All right, so before we get, I know there are a lot of issues to talk about, but before we get into all of that, let's start with a fun question. I'll say one word and tell me the first thing that comes to your mind when I say that word. Okay, so who's going to go first? Okay, so election.
Voting.
Anyone else?
Rigged, I guess,
Okay.
yeah. Propaganda. Scam. Economic welfare.
Okay,
Rally.
okay.
Alliances.
Too complex.
You said?
Alliances.
Okay,
Power. Change of government.
A new leader.
great. So we've got a whole lot of answers. There's been so much talk around it, politicians talking about all kinds of things. I want to know from you what you think are the most important issues that should be focused on by the politicians, by the current government, and what is it that the issues you think that they're focusing on that are not relevant at all? So who would like to go first?
The most important issue that the government should focus on for me is the farmer suicide which is going on, because farmers are the backbone of our economy, and if they are not given the proper facilities which they require, I don't think our economy will progress.
I think one of the most important issues is unemployment. Since the Modi government back in 2014, the election campaign was based on job creation.
Yes.
It's gotten better since in the last 5 years, but then the deficit of the unemployment is increasing exponentially. So I think that's still a very major problem to be worked with. I think there are a lot of people unemployed. Yeah.
I think the biggest problem is freedom.
Okay.
I think the freedom to express ourselves without fearing any action that will be taken against us. Also, the restrictions that are imposed on what we eat, which is happening, it's
Yes.
very open. I think that's one of the biggest problems we're facing right now, and it's something that shouldn't happen in a democracy.
Yes, absolutely.
There's a sense of polarization that's happening in society as well, which I think several of the parties are, participatory in the whole role of polarization. But there are several issues that are missed out in the meantime. So recently there was a report that said that 7 out of the 10 most polluted cities in the world are in India, right?
Yes.
But no political party has picked up on it as part of their 2019 campaign. And how is that not significant? That should be the primary thing that they focus on. So I think in the hubble of caste and religious-based politics, we miss out on the real issues, which we have to hold our leaders accountable by asking them the relevant questions. So I think the media plays a major role. So.
Yes, absolutely. And that is what is really important, because from what all of you are saying is that all of these issues somewhere you believe are not really being picked up by the government and not being given importance by the government. So let's look at some of these issues. You spoke about unemployment, and that of course is a very, very big challenge today. There are multiple examples where students, people who have completed their masters and their PhDs are going and applying for jobs like clerks, and that's a very sad state of affairs. I also believe you had some placements happening yesterday. So when you think of yourselves going out once you finish college, what is your opinion of the kind of job availability? Is it something that scares you? Do you think there are enough jobs for you, given your background? Do you think there are enough jobs out there?
There are not enough jobs in the market, and not the desired stipulation which we want. That's one of the main reasons why Indians search job outside India, because we don't get paid as much as we get outside. So there is very less scope for us over here. Even as media students, we have very less scope in India.
Adding to her point, because there is less scope in India, people are going abroad, which is leading to brain drain in our own country and which is hampering our economy.
They want to constrain their resources, which is why they're not taking up people a lot, and there's competition in that as well. So we are not everyone gets placed every time and happily. So that's a very major issue, that even after being qualified, even after having a degree, we are not happy with it.
I want to add to her, like graduates are getting, into the market, but then there's not enough, capability for the market to produce that many jobs as
Right.
for the graduates, in the country.
Right.
Speaking about unemployment, yes, indeed we don't have a lot of opportunities in the market. But to be honest, I feel that the education system needs an upgradation, needs to be more dynamic, because the current trend of the market is at the verge going towards information and technology. And comparing our education system, I don't think it has been updated, and which is the need of the hour. Because if we have a quality employers, indeed we'll be able to produce more opportunities in the market. We
Right.
ourselves will be able to make a change.
Right, absolutely. So what you're saying is that the education system also in India is something that really needs to be overhauled, and I completely agree with you, because that's really the crux of it. We have to completely overhaul the way education happens in India. What would you like to say? Go ahead.
Joining to his point, education system actually needs to be changed. Even if you go to see the admission process, it has different quotas, which
Yes.
relates to like caste and which depends on caste and all. So I guess if it's equal for everyone, that would make a much better difference.
Okay.
The books, the textbooks and all that we have, especially IT, needs to be updated every year, because the softwares that we are learning is probably 10 years old, which would not be relevant for us right now. So I feel all the textbooks, especially the IT textbooks, should be updated every year.
I think the question is significantly different because the number of jobs that existed previously cannot possibly exist because of automation. So a lot of sectors are going to have jobs crises. Like, for example, the telecom sector
Yes.
and the insurance sector and banking, which were traditionally some of India's largest employment sectors, are being automated on a daily basis. And no company wants to keep people if they can be more efficient. So policy making has to be fluid enough and flexible enough that they can accommodate people who are graduating in new fields. And education has to be tailored in such a way that you can empower people with skills quickly for them to get a small paying job.
Yeah, and your point about the fact that a lot of jobs are being automated, that is absolutely true. But so that's exactly where the governments need to step in and figure out ways to create employment opportunities. Because if you don't create employment opportunities, there's not going to be economic growth, and sort of everything sort of then from there on goes downwards.
Right. So, the question then is productivity at the cost of human life important, or is it maybe worth the slight decrease in economic productivity if you can employ more people? So these sort of questions have to be discussed rather than, say, questions which are more irrelevant in nature, and everyone knows what that would be like.
Right. The other question, the point somebody mentioned about the quota system, of course, we know that there is a lot of quotas that exist, and now there's a new one that has come in the economically weaker section. What is your opinion of this? Because let's face it, there are certain segments of society that need that additional push, because they've grown up in a different background, they need that additional push to be able to compete with the rest of the society. However, now there is now in this other quota for economically weaker sections. What do you think of that? Yes.
The new quota for the economically backward is a good initiative by the government, but to fall under that, to get the scholarship for the economically backwards, your annual salary of your family should be around 8 lakhs, which many of us fall under. So even if like the really weaker section of the society, like they won't even be aware of this economically backward scholarship which we are getting. So I think government should promote it more.
The need of the hour is to, I think so from my opinion, it should be, quota plus merit at the same time. Because if it's only quota, many people are going to, misutilize it.
So you're saying within the quota, there should also be a merit system that should be in place.
Yeah, because if you see for, many of the exams, like you have medical exams and all, I don't remember the name, but one of the exams had a passing rate for minority, which is like 0 negative. Rather than for the others, it's like you have to crack, really, into technical stuff about the subject. So I think so. What happens then? What she mentioned that is then the public, the general quota becomes a minority in that case, because then the others have to slog for that 40%. How she said, rather than the others who are just just chill about what's going to happen, because they know even if you are going to score negative marks, the seat is reserved for us.
I would say I am not against caste reservation completely, but so untouchability is still a thing in India, and we cannot deny that, though most of us are not aware of it. But if my parents have established themselves in a city like Mumbai, so what does it matter what caste I come from? They can really pay for a reasonable education, and university fees are what, like 5,000, 6,000 for normal, and self-finance is 20,000. So I think they can achieve it. No matter, doesn't matter what caste they come from. If they have already established themselves, if they have a house, or anything, if they're living reasonably in Mumbai. But in certain areas, definitely there's a need of caste reservation as well. So I think that, as she said, there should be one general quota about like economically, that should be what focused upon.
So the quota system is actually a pretty good initiative, because these economically backward classes, they actually do need it.
Yes.
But instead of focusing on providing with them these quotas, they get a laid-back attitude, so they don't want to work hard. So instead of focusing on the quotas, they could be provided with quality education, which will help them to compete with the general public, is what I think.
I agree with him, and that's sort of the same point I was going to raise. I mean, I think it's pretty bigoted in a sense, because it goes both ways. I mean, some ways there is okay, and also one thing, I mean, in some, like in Mumbai University, for some colleges, they have a certain quota for a certain category of people who don't always fall in the economically backward classes. And I mean, even if I consider the quota system, I'm not against it. I definitely think it's a good opportunity for them, because we standing here, we don't realize the privileges we have to be standing here today, and many people don't have that. But again, I think on that account, many actually meritorious students do miss out on an opportunity. And then again, when the whole corruption factor comes in, there are people who maybe have all the wealth and they are not deserving of the position that they are in, but they still manage to get away with it. So.
Okay, so you've spoken about a whole range of issues: unemployment, jobs, quotas, and corruption even. When you see all these politicians holding their rallies and asking for votes, what goes through your mind? Do you believe, do they instill confidence in you as your future, perhaps the new leaders who are going to lead this country? And B, what are the issues that they are focusing on? Instead of the issues that you just mentioned, which obviously is not being, enough focus is being given on?
So what I think right now is like education, all of these points what they said are very important. But right now our country is going through a sensitive phase of India and Pakistan war. So everyone is like very emotional when it comes to country, especially even when you see a cricket match against Pakistan. It's like we want to win it. By hook or by crook. So taking advantage of that point, our politicians play a very, I would say, like, I don't want to use that word, but cheap politics.
Yes.
Using soldiers' pictures and all of that to market themselves. So this is something what they're focusing on right now. And what they should be focusing on, the real points, what everyone stated is education, the quotas, infrastructure. All of the main points are actually being ignored, and the sensitive thread is being used to gain votes, I feel.
Politics in today's modern world has become very religious based. So there was a campaign by BJP stating that if they win the elections, they will build Ram Mandir. So you're basically just dividing Hindu-Muslim again in this nation, which was happening many years back. You're bringing it up and building it up again, which in fact you should be solving right now.
Yeah, and I think also I would, again, this is a very cliche topic to be raised all the time, but I think even the safety issues of women.
Yes,
and
I
don't know, they are all coming up with Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao and Women Force, and we are, supporting. I don't know, I think that's pretty much a facade, because, just getting two extra girl children educated is not going to save the majority of the women from any sort of crime that's happening with them. And I mean, that's really, really sad to see what's happening. And I think just promoting or like putting out stupid slogans or banners is not going to help because crime rates have increased.
Since you brought up the women's safety issue, in Mumbai we're much better off, let's face it, than a lot of other cities in India. How do you feel about the women's safety issue? Any of the girls?
It's like you cannot step out of your house after 10 o'clock. Addressing whatever issues, you cannot wear what you want, because there are so many rape cases even today, right from a child, a girl being born to our grandmothers, old ladies are being raped. So what exactly the government, the political leaders are doing for the women in our country? I feel investing in building such statues and all is going to lead us nowhere. Investing money in and attention in such issues, it's going to make India a better place to live in.
Okay, you were nodding, you want to say something?
Okay, so talking about safety is something that is very important, and it's very precious to any girl or any woman who stays or who's living currently. And once she's prone to something, it actually has a devastating effect on her entire life and she goes under a serious trauma. So the government should actually focus on changing the mentality of the men and the women in the society and creating a change, and also along with that frame stricter laws and policies, have more protection, like the police etc should be they should be kept at places during night time, especially where there are no like areas which are dark, and they should lit up those areas, they should keep it bright, so at least if someone is moving around, they can go confidently, they can be safe rather than being snatched or something happening bad to them.
So you believe there should be stricter laws that should be in place. I want views from the guys as well. What do you think about women's safety?
I think regardless of how safe we perceive Bombay or any of our home cities to be, I think there is still a general sense of fear among women and maybe even among guys. And the very fact that this fear exists means that the government hasn't done enough. And adding to the points that they said before, there are many stretches in our city that are dark and that are lonely, that haven't been developed well enough to make a woman feel safe and empower them to, take their decisions that maybe they can return home late from work and, not miss out on their work just because maybe the road to and fro is not lit enough and then they don't feel safe enough.
Rather than feeling safe, I feel what could be done from government side is like in a country like India, raping a woman or even trying to rape a woman should be made so strict that no boy or no man can think about it. You have to be given a death sentence is what I feel. Then and only then will be a fear amongst all of them that if we even try to do this, it's a no-go there.
So the thing here is that there are laws. There are very strict laws in India that we have for crime against women, for crime against children. The issue comes in implementation, as is the case with a lot of things in our country. The implementation is always the issue. So it's up to the person who's trying to prove that this was indeed a crime, this was a rape or whatever it is, this was a sexual harassment case. The proof, the onus of that, proving that lies with the person who's trying to prove it. And very often there's a lot of politics that gets involved. So the implementation of the law is the big issue that is in India as well. Yes?
Also the mentality of the person as well.
Yes.
So we need to attend that as well. Even if the laws are not there, still the cases would be low because we've attacked here in their minds, and not making strict laws won't just impact. Like if say now it's illegal to smuggle drugs, but still drugs are being smuggled, right? So it won't have that impact.
So you're saying the mindset, the mentality has to change, and that's true for a lot of issues. Where somebody spoke about the garbage problem, whether it's crime against women. There are multiple issues where as a society we also need to take onus. There's one thing, yes, we want our governments to do more, we want more policy, we want stricter laws, but then we also have to do a lot of things ourselves and take the initiative and the onus. So like a lot of you mentioned, I know a lot of points. I am really happy to see so many views and so many very important points really coming out. But just going back to the point you were talking about, the last few days there has been, of course, there has been this whole tension between India and Pakistan. When you will go and cast your vote, is that going to be something that is going to change the way that, or change your choice of who you're going to vote for? How much is that really going to play a part in your decision for whom you will cast your vote? I want some answers from the back as well now.
I don't think it plays a massive role because right now, I think war is being used as propaganda, and it's being the politicians and parties are taking advantage of our sentimental value, basically our patriotic values. So I think they're doing that and they're not focusing on what really needs to be worked on. So I think a sensible person would also factor in, what other work the political party can do other than speaking about the other country and what they can do for their own country. So I think that would influence my vote primarily.
So I'm really happy with the kind of opinions and points that you've all put forward. So before we wrap up, again, I'm going to, the way we started, when you think of the upcoming 2019 elections and what the politicians are offering, when you are going to go to vote, what is going to be that one thing that's going to be on your mind? I want everyone to talk about the one issue that you think should be at the top, should be the top focus of whichever government comes to power next. One point. So let's just have quick one-word answers and pass on the mics. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, you can, of course.
Okay, I think more respect and more laws for the LGBT community.
Okay.
Very much.
They need to do something about the environment crisis that we are in. Like they really need to work on that.
Okay.
Well, to truly practice secularism.
education, period.
Okay.
Just control politics and let it be to a certain limit and not publicize it that, and also how biased social media is sometimes, to act on that.
I guess the farmers, because that's the basic need we need right now.
Right.
Religious and traditional acceptance.
I'm not sure who I'm going to vote for, but whoever wins, at the end of the day, we have to realize we're all citizens of the same country. So it's not just before elections that you have to, go out and publicize your party, but even after that, you have to do something for the welfare of the people.
Getting the term as India being a developed country instead of being India is a developing country.
Okay.
Also, I believe that politics and religion should not be mixed with each other, and we should treat all citizens as Indians first and last.
Okay.
Women empowerment and safety, equal opportunities for the women and safety for the women, and also to keep holding the government accountable for the actions, so that we have to have that free of speech, and we should question them, and they should have answers for us.
Education, making our students more employable rather than employed, and second part is maintaining balance and totality.
I think all I'd want is freedom to say whatever I want and eat whatever I want and practice whatever religion I want, basically.
I would say better employment opportunities for the youth.
Last call.
Apart from unemployment, the government should focus more on the soldiers' families. They are sacrificing their life for the whole country. They should at least provide free education for the children and all, and should implement more schemes for their family members.
All right. You guys, it was really, really a very, very interesting, very, very good discussion. I'm so glad that you all came up with such insightful points and so much of opinion. I can only say that I hope that our politicians actually listen to you, because there are 1.5 crore first-time voters this time round. So like somebody mentioned, the key really is in your hand. And this time, go out, vote, make sure that you choose or don't choose. Either is fine. So, all right. Thank you so much for joining us. And on that note, that's a wrap on this very interesting episode of My First Vote. We'll be back next week from another city with another batch of first-time voters. Till then, thanks so much for watching.